Hey y'all, let's go there.
I'm suddenly nervous. What was I thinking? Inviting all of these really established people and established podcasters, and then daring to experiment and do this podcast with completely new technology. So we have no idea if this is going to work, but this whole night is about experimentation and letting go of attachment and being open-minded. And so that's where we're going with it. So let's go there. Thank you, Kreger, for the plug. So meet my beloved friend, Yemi, akinyemi. Yemi and I have gotten to know each other. We met on my 50th birthday. He crashed the party with a mutual friend, and we've been inseparable ever since. I don't know what happened, but our worlds collided, and we haven't separated since. And I wanted to give you all a chance to get to know Yemi in the way that I know him, but also to hear about what he's doing with Moonshot. And because I'm very, very inspired by the work that he's doing with Moonshot. It's what this world needs right now. And without further ado, I'd like to talk about that. But Yemi, before we get started, I asked you this when you first came on the podcast, but for those that didn't hear it the first time around, how do you describe yourself in the world?
I just want to make sure, are we recording, guys? Are we? We are, yeah? We good?
Trust the process.
You know, because I am like, when it comes to production, I am like, yeah, it's like,
okay,
is that angle good enough?
So producer's one.
Yeah, so producer is one. I would say adventurer or explorer. I hope aspiring astronaut. Dancer forever. I think that would make it. And hopefully, I hope very soon also father.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait to be an auntie. Okay, so I'm going to add to that. Oh, there's Spalding. I'm going to add to that creative, choreographer, entrepreneur, humanitarian, from my perspective in terms of this work. Why don't you tell us all about Moonshot and how Moonshot came to be and what it actually is?
So Moonshot is a global organization that supports young people and whatever they do to innovate their way of living, environment or culture or community. We believe that young people should participate on shaping the future that they will inherit, and that in the world we can't see it. And we want to give them more opportunity to be at the important tables where decisions are being made, to implement their ideas about the future and to dream with us, and maybe us dream with them about what the future should look like. In 3 years, we were able to reach people in 112 countries. We were endorsed by late Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. We had beautiful 2 Moonshot Award ceremonies, galas in New York. We had 2 Moonshot Young Leaders Camps, which is an accelerator week-long where we go a deep dive with Moonshotters, which we call our young leaders. And maybe the most important part of it is something we called embodied leadership, which is the core and the heart of the program, where we try to help develop the leaders of tomorrow.
How did this idea come to you?
So there is many different stories. The most recent story was me wanting to fly to the moon with Starship of Elon Musk and applying for the mission by Yusaku Maezawa, and then winning from 1 million people together with 8 artists to fly around the moon. And then my class, my Henry Crown Fellowship class, naming their class Moonshot, and us, despite pandemic, wanted to do first Moonshot on Earth, do something here before I fly to space, and recognizing that really there is this need and demand from young people to be at the table. But if I go really back into my origin story, I think it's more also about what I wish to have when I was young. I was born in the 80s in communistic Czechoslovakia to my Czech mom and Nigerian dad. And yes, there are black people in Czechoslovakia, like 3 of us. And then, really understanding freedom in a completely different sense. Today, when you say freedom, I feel people don't realize how much you have to fight to have freedom. And when I was born, there was no freedom. We couldn't say the truth. My mom would always get in trouble because she was very outspoken and yeah, she was what we say in Czech, what's on your heart is in your mouth. So that's the description of my mom. And then we couldn't travel outside of the borders. If you do something wrong, like your kids can go to school or you lose a job opportunity. So that was communism for us. And then when I was 4 and my father went to visit Nigeria and then couldn't come back, also he losing his freedom was big. And I felt that every time I wanted to do something about things around me, I was always shut down. When I speak to my teachers, when I speak to people in our city, I applied for different jobs since I was 15, and it was never really, there was no space. It was maybe not the time, but the space. So Moonshot today for me is a space that I built for like a 15-year version of myself, and I think it's fun that it's possible in this time to do that and to allow young people to not be hopeless.
Yeah. Well, I will say, having experienced it firsthand, I had the great privilege of attending your Moonshot camp in Czech Republic this past summer. And getting to be a moderator there. And it was such a phenomenal experience. But the thing that blew me away the most was the amount of talent there. I mean, and some of you guys are in this room. Shout out to Brandon, who wrote the music for my podcast.
Brandon!
Shout out to Ritz, who's now working on the podcast, who's here. And we have others too. So Genevieve and Miklos, I don't see, there you are. And so I was just blown away by the amount of talent. I mean, we had 100 Moonshotters there this summer?
Yes.
How many Moonshotters do you have to date so far, just 3 years in? And tell us a little bit about them.
So we have a pretty robust evaluation process and system. We reach out to about 100 organizations around the world, including UN. They activate different communities, and then we hear back from, between 1,000 to 1,500 young social entrepreneurs. When you say social entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be only nonprofit. It can be also social enterprise, for-profit firm that is doing something and not just being profitable, but doing something that's advancing society in some way. Then we do a shortlist, 100 people each year. And then, some of them, the lucky and really amazing, they blow our mind. And then some of them get the grants, are brought to New York, and some of them also get access to Moonshot Camp. The first year we had one class, which was 25 people. Second year we had another class, 3 classes. We opened 3 classes. So together, the people who went through the acceleration program will be about 100 people from maybe 25 countries.
Wow. And how are you supporting them, Yemi? What are you actually doing at these camps and at these different events?
So what we do is we do support them holistically. So not just, giving money or just giving mentorship or bringing them on the stage and showing them to the world. We try to do whatever in particular this or that young leader needs. So we learn about them, we get to know them. Also, we are bringing together people who are somehow advancing SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which is a framework created by United Nations that tries to, eradicate poverty, bring clean water, make more equality between men and women, and so on and so on. So they are really different leaders. Some are justice fighters, some are environmentalists, some are technology, coders. So we have to really approach them individualistically. But the thing that I appreciate the most about this program is that we do not only stay here, that we realize that the crisis of leadership that we see in the world today is especially caused by people being disconnected from the neck up. And we believe that the biggest distance you can ever cross is the distance between your brain and your heart. So we are not afraid to go and dive deep into the heart and the guts. So the young leaders explore this path and explore how is it to make decisions that are not superficial and transactional in your leadership, but decisions that can be in conversation with your body, with your epigenetics, with your feeling, with your values. And that's how we try to support them to create safe space so they can do that and also disagree with each other without being fearful of what's happening in the world.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I noticed is that many of the Moonshotters were coming from war-torn countries. They were coming from environments where the odds were against them. They were coming from countries that don't necessarily get along with one another. And yet you were building this really remarkable community and wrapping around these incredible experiences for them, whether it was walking on fire or going to a music festival or doing readings on a train car, or meditating. But what we witnessed during that week, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the creation of a community. And I began to see Moonshotters bond not just with us, but with each other.
Absolutely. I can give you a little glimpse into how sometimes our work looks. There was a first Moonshot Awards where we had someone who was fleeing the conflict and had to link to us from a garage. I think it was Afghanistan. It was a boy who didn't want to agree with the regime and secretly was creating a school for girls. When they boycott or they banned women to go to school, he would create a center underground and would deliver daily classes to 20,000 girls in Afghanistan. And we would connect to this guy, and we would be afraid for his life because his family already killed. He was like he was the resistance. So when I am in these moments, and I sit with these young people who have so little, and they still, with everything they have, even their own life, are pushing for what is right, that makes me feel like, am I really doing enough? Same for the mentors. We cannot forget that we wouldn't be here if the mentors are not, willing to give their time and attention. And we have, for example, Chadia, who is from Lebanon, and once again, she was supposed to be judging, and then she's calling me and she says, "Hey, I'm sorry, there was just alarm. We all have to evacuate. We have to go underground because they're about to bomb us." So this is what it means to be global. It's not, to be sitting in the couch and just not caring, but to really connect with people who are at the front lines of the problems that then they are trying to solve.
Yeah.
And be patient, try to understand, and then bring these people together. And we did bring one of our winners is from Lebanon. So we also, had to figure out how to do the visa, how to bring them safely by car, then to fly them in without them being harmed. But it's so important because being in a room with people from really all different walks of life, listening to their stories, feeling their emotions, this is what shifts your consciousness and your ability to fight for, what the values are.
Yeah. It gets instant perspective. It's amazing and incredibly inspiring to see these young people. I even remember when we were heading back from Czech Republic, one of the Moonshotters WhatsApped me and said, "I can't get home. Bangladesh just broke out into war. Mm-hmm. They're not letting any planes land." And he literally couldn't go home. And your organization was helping him find a place with a relative so that he could go temporarily until he could actually make it home. But what's so incredible is that even though against all odds, these Moonshotters are creating incredible ventures and doing amazing things in the world. And we've got a few of you here, so I feel like I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about you all. I'm going to put you a bit on the spot. Miklos, will you come tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on? You're welcome to sit there if you like. I can hand you the mic.
You can sit on the pillow so you're in the light.
Have a pillow.
Sounds good. Well, that was a surprise, but I'm honored to be brought into the spotlight.
I am going to just briefly introduce Miklos. Miklos is one of our OGs, yeah? He's 21, and he started in Moonshot Awards in the very first competition we did. He won Moonshot Learning Award, and he won it with AI-powered system for learning that can cut down the time, save time in learning. And today he was able to get investors, very, very powerful investors from across several countries, from Japan to China and Singapore, US, and also brought and expand his platform from language learning to all kind of learning. And today it works for learning, educating, but also for recruiting. And if I remember it right, he is able to increase the performance of newly onboarded sales teams. He's also able to shorten the time for people to learn it. And he just recently was appointed as the head of AI policy programming for the whole of Indonesia. So, and he's 21. So this is one of the Moonshot stories
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
that I love to share, because you can see that the young people really can do a lot. Over to you.
Oh man, no, that's a hard act to follow. But I think firstly, like it means a lot, and I want to start by saying thank you to everyone here who's for Moonshot. I would not be who I am today without Yemi and the team's belief in me. So I think my story started before Moonshot. How I came to be and how I found education was initially I found it this really funny number. And the reason I say funny nonprofit, was we didn't do anything special. We were that typical tutoring initiative in the high schools, you know, the upperclassmen teaching underclassmen. And the only idea we had was, what if we made this global? So I called up my friends in Indonesia, some friends in the US, Taiwan, Australia. My co-founders at the time, they also did the same. And eventually, without realizing, almost like I don't want to say MLM, like, you know, multi-level marketing has a bad connotation to it, but all our different friends looking at different schools doing the same thing decided, why don't we do it all under one larger brand? And it reached out 6,000 tutors in 10 countries, and this lasted us for about a year and a half. So that was kind of the start of it. But unfortunately, because this is a high school endeavor and I was still learning a lot of things then, this didn't last very long. After a year and a half, like after basically this one period of time, when university applications were finished, and people's reasons for being there were no longer relevant, we dropped 60% in over a couple of weeks in terms of our tutoring. And that was a sign that we had to make a decision. Me and my two co-founders, their names are Ken and Malik. And we decided we had to make a decision whether we rest on our laurels, we decided we did a good job, we had a good time, let's retire, or we had to do something serious. We actually want to do something globally changing. And thankfully, we decided on the latter. And the two things that we were really interested in were AI and education. And serendipitously, the day that we decided that to be like our movement was also the day that ChatGPT got released. So overnight, we completely changed everything to change our pitch to become the first AI platform for education. And that's what we came to Moonshot with. So fast forward to what Moonshot did for me. Once again, just so you guys can understand now that I was a nobody for Moonshot. I'm still a nobody today, but less still of a nobody yesterday. Long time. And in Moonshot, one of the key experiences that I got to pitch my idea at the time to the Deputy Secretary General of the UN. Her name was Miss Samina Jane Mohammed. And I also got to pitch at the same time to the ambassador of my country in the UN. His name is Ambassador Tata Nasir. He's helped me way later on in the career as well. And these two people, after listening to me speak and hearing me out, they decided to, crazily enough, place me to speak at the next UN General Assembly. Which I was like, it was like from what? And speaking in this assembly, specifically it was at the ECOSOC Partnership Forum back in 2023. I talked about AI and education. This legitimized me as a founder. This is when everything took off. We got the funding not too long after. We won multiple startup competitions, something called Samsung Solve for Tomorrow, finalists for MIT Solve. We won $150,000 from another competition called AI Entrepreneurs Berkeley as the #1 startup coming out of Berkeley. And things were really, really good. So life's good there. And some roadblocks happened. Me and my co-founders are split now, but I can say that I'm better than ever. I think I can portray my career as going two different directions, but at the same time still coming together as a whole. There's the startup career as founder where I'm more talking about the tech stuff, but I won't bore you with that. But on the governmental side of things, what was planted by Moonshot there when I got to speak with Ambassador Nasir, and eventually I got to be known as the youngest ever speaker from Indonesia at the UN, and thankfully as well as a technical speaker, because Indonesia, we're not famous for our tech whatsoever. So because of this attention that I got to eventually come to Indonesia, be paraded around a little bit. It was a nice little moment. But more importantly, I got to meet all the key people who eventually trusted me to help them basically make the country a better place. And the specific things that I'm helping now are in terms of what sort of AI projects we can implement, as well as what sort of AI policies we can implement. And some of the projects that I'm really happy to talk about, the one that I can talk about, is how I'm involved now in terms of the distribution of the free school meals program in Indonesia, where basically the government wants to provide a free meal to every single person under 18 in the entire country. So being able to be involved in all this, being able to be recognized as an individual, as a young person in my country, and having an actual, legitimate, technically, like on paper, like a real voice, it's all something that I can thank all of you for. So that's my story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want you to get a chance to hear everybody's story, but we also have to get to dinner. So Genevieve, if you could just raise your hand just so that everybody knows who you are. Please get to know Genevieve tonight if you haven't already. Brandon Hightower, super talented artist, leaving the corporate world behind to pursue his heart, which really resonates with me. Ridiculously talented. I mean, the fact that you're sitting in my living room and you are about to blow up big time just blows my mind. Ritz, oh, there you are, Ritz in the background over here, a brilliant strategist, an expert in PR and communications, has been helping me get Let's Go There off the ground. Me and Rich roll. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no small thing there. But so I just want to make sure that y'all get a chance to hear them and their stories tonight throughout the night. Before we wrap up, Yemi, what's your hope for Moonshot? What's your dream here?
So my dream is no small. Me and our board members, we just finished our planning. We call it Vision 2030, and we would like by the year 2030 for the Moonshot to be the most powerful youth ally globally, to be the place where if you have like a genius young person in the furthest corner of the world, and the parents say, hey, we will call Moonshot, they'll know what to do, because this person can change the course of where the country goes or this problem that we have. But alone we cannot make it. But in the community that we will foster, I want in that time when some new big problem happens, whether it's a pandemic or it's a war or it's an earthquake, or it doesn't have to be a problem, we just want to innovate for better living. We want to have this powerful think tank of young people. So when we bring the problem there, the way they approach it and the way they address it will be very different than the leaders of today, how they are doing it. So I think we will be able to accelerate through the eyes of young people who has a long future ahead of us, and hopefully will help us think and move and work in a long-term fashion, not just from term to term.
Yeah. Well, if the Moonshotters that I've met thus far are any indication of the impact that you're making, I can't wait to see what the years to come bring. And I'm grateful for the work that you're doing, and I'm grateful for the work that all of y'all are doing. So thank you for being in the world. I find you very inspiring. So I also want to take a chance to thank Moody. Moody, thank you for helping me with the tech setup and the filming and photographs tonight. So thanks for joining us. And with that, I think we've got dinner brewing upstairs. I can hear it.
I also want to thank you, because Carla has been our ally here in Austin, Texas for a really long time. Not only dear friend to me, but hosting this in her house, connecting us to people, and doing this beautiful podcast that I already had the chance to be at once. And I love that you're like making waves and connecting and doing so much. So thank you for contributing in this beautiful way.
It's my pleasure.
We love it.
Yeah, it's my honor. Thank you, Yemi.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, shall we eat?
Let's go eat.
Okay.
Thank y'all for listening today. If you're so inclined, please follow, subscribe, download, share, all of the things so that we can keep going. We appreciate your support so much. If you're interested in learning more, go to thecoeffect.co.